Rotarians and guests, welcome to the April 14th meeting of the Rotary Club of York. Our members are dedicated to service above self and Rotary's four-way test. Leading us today in our opening song and pledge is Cal Weary, and delivering our invocation is President-elect Jackie Summers.
Rotarians, do not join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the dawning's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? With the mask on. I ate a lot of fabric there, guys. Sorry about that. That was pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. Well done, Cal. Not many people could do that, and certainly not in a mask. Well done. Will you please join me in a word of prayer? Glorious God, we give you thanks and praise for this opportunity to gather in fellowship, in person and virtually. We're grateful for this season of spring, the sweet scent in the air of blooming flowers and budding trees, the promise of fresh beginnings and a new hope. While this time in which we are living remains a constant in its uncertainty, we know the wisdom that emerges from struggle and the sacred power that can be found in the midst of seeming chaos. Our health as individuals and communities depends upon our willingness to enter into the fray time and again with and for one another. As we continue to navigate this unpredictability, may we remember the perpetual closeness of you. Please bless our speaker and the work she is doing in renewable energy, bringing to the forefront awareness and opportunities to move towards sustainable energy sources. Please guide all who are led to meet the needs of the most vulnerable and bless their acts of kindness as they continue to place service above self. We give you thanks for this food, that it may nourish and strengthen us, and thank you too for the hands who have thoughtfully prepared it. Into your everlasting wisdom, we place our path and direction. Amen.
Thank you, Cal and Jackie, for that warm opening on this dreary, rainy day. Thanks to all who ventured out today and all of our members and guests who are joining us virtually. The wisdom that emerges from struggle. That's good balm in the wound or grease on the skids, Jackie. Excellent. So I just wanted to remind everyone that registration for next week will appear in the announcer, and please revert to the website. If you do not receive the announcer, check your junk mailbox because it may be there. Obviously, you have the opportunity always to email Lynn or Renee if you have any difficulty in registering. And it's also, you need your login on the website to register for next week. Into our announcements, April was a very good month for our community. On April 17th, 1916, the first official meeting of this August body was called. The meeting location was at the Colonial Hotel, where 25 charter members elected Morgan Gipe, the first president. If he could see us now, I think he'd see a couple surprises. Happy 105th anniversary to the Rotary Club of York. Just 5 years later, after that meeting in April of 1929, the York Welfare Federation was formed. Does anyone know the modern name of the York Welfare Federation? Thank you. Thank you. Well, we have many generous donors, volunteers, and partner agency leaders that are members of our club and United Way supporters. Applications are now being accepted for student education, non-traditional scholarships. The deadline to submit an application is April 30th. Visit the club website for more details. Our board of directors accepted with regret the resignation of Rotarian Bruce Bankenstein after 26 years of service. Bruce, thank you for your service to our club and our community, and we wish you the very best in the next chapter. This is a reminder to sign up for Rotarian Networking, an event on Earth Day, which is next Thursday, April 22nd at 11:30 a.m. See the announcer for more details, and you can contact Silas to register. Our PPE, Preserve Planet Earth Committee, will be planting 15 trees in York City this Saturday. Volunteers are welcome. Where's Al? Al? Okay, for those of you in the room, you know who Al is, and for those of you joining virtually, you can contact Al. The following committees are meeting via Zoom. Youth Exchange, April 15th at noon. Our IDEA committee will meet on April 19th at 8 a.m. This is a sad note. We extend our condolences and deepest sympathy to Bernice Quisenberry on the loss of her infant daughter, Brooke. Thank you to those of you who are close to the family and are providing support at this time. While no words can replace this great loss, we thank all Rotarians who offer their sympathy to Bernice and her family. And now we have a video message from our District Governor, John Anthony, on the upcoming district conference.
Hi folks, District Governor John coming to you today about our Rotary Conference. Folks, I have a lot to tell you in a short period of time, so here we go. This is a tri-district conference. We have 3 districts across the bottom of Pennsylvania that are participating in this conference. Very excited to have this. We were going to have it at Kalahari, but now you can see it's going to be virtual. That's why the theme, exploring new opportunities together. We had 4 goals, really. We wanted to have fun and fellowship as we're doing this event. We wanted to have learning, inspiration, and service. And I think we've achieved those goals. Fun and fellowship. You know, we're going to have networking. There are over 5,000 Rotarians across the 3 districts that could come to this event. We have a house of friendship, much in the likeness of a house of friendship that you see at Rotary International conferences. We have a Friday night party and a Saturday night party. Lots of fun and fellowship across the 3 districts, including a trivia night on Friday night, a musician and bingo, in addition to a gala on Saturday night to raise money for the foundation. Folks, our House of Friendship is going to have up to 100 breakout rooms. This is a Zoom-based event. And in those breakout rooms are going to be service projects that are being done by Rotarians across all 3 districts, where we can learn from each other what we're doing and maybe do better at what we do, and maybe plug into some service that's being done by others around the region. Fellowships, lots of Rotary fellowships. The Brew Fellowship is talking about coming. The International Fellowship of Musicians is coming. Rotary Means Business International Fellowship is coming. We have great fellowships in Rotary fun things that we can be doing. And so we hope to be able to share with you service projects and fellowships and initiatives. The Rotary Veterans Initiative, for example, will be there. And then Rotary Businesses, right? So Paul Harris started Rotary trying to do business with like-hearted, like-minded people. And so we're offering to businesses the opportunity for a $50 sponsorship to be part of the House of Friendship. The value to our members: every business that participates must be a Rotarian business. So anybody that you go and talk to, you know that you're doing business with a like-hearted, like-minded business. Here are a few examples of folks that have already signed up for our virtual House of Friendship. We're very excited about some of these projects that are coming and talking about what they do. Look, Yes Liberia, I mean, this is out of our own Harrisburg Keystone. Great things happening across Rotary. Why not share them? Why not get the juices flowing? Look, Shelter Box, we've been supporting them for years. And then breakout sessions. Folks, we have 10 fabulous breakout sessions scheduled on Saturday. An update on COVID, past, present, and future by credible people. And this is put together by our safety committee. Rotary Means Business. Scott Stevens, our chair, is going to talk about what that looks like in the future. Great Zoom presentations offered by our own past District Governor Una Martone. Right here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Dale Fallon has the communication gym. Every organization, communication is a major piece, whether it's your family, your business, your Rotary. Here's another opportunity for us to learn. They have put together in one of the other districts a Rotary Eco Club. How cool is that we can learn from what they're doing and maybe grow something in our own district? How about peace and conflict resolution? A panel discussion, not only with this past District Governor Pam, but also with 2 Peace Fellows. What an incredible opportunity that is. And then telling your Rotary story. Folks, membership is going to be a big conversation over the next couple of years as we get to the other side of this COVID thing. What does recruitment and retention mean? Talking about your Rotary story is going to be a big part of that. And then putting the fun back in fundraising, I think that kind of speaks for itself. We have the Rotary Veterans Initiative be sharing out in its breakout what they do, why they're doing it, and how we can all plug in to make that better. And high performance Rotaract clubs. This is a real time, right from Duke University and the University of Pennsylvania Rotaract clubs that are talking about how we can help them as Rotarians. Incredible. And then 3 incredible keynote speakers, right? So we have Tracy Tremendous Jones, daughter of Charlie Tremendous Jones, who has written books in the last couple of years since she took over the business, has traveled the world speaking, and she spoke at our own Pre-Pets last year. This woman is amazing, and her talk is energizing, happening on Friday night. Saturday, Rotary International Director-elect Drew Kessler. This gentleman is going to represent all of us on the Rotary Board of Directors. He's coming to talk to us about the future of Rotary. And Alan Mallory on Sunday. Alan, who climbed Mount Everest with his family, is going to come talk to us about reaching new heights. He did a presentation at our zone conference a couple of years ago that was amazing. And the 2 other district governors and I all felt that we needed to bring Alan in to do a presentation for us. Service. So Saturday afternoon, May Day, from 1 o'clock until 5 o'clock, we're really looking at all of the clubs. Wouldn't it be cool to have 5,000 plus Rotarians doing service in their community on that day and plugging that into social media so that all of the world, all of the region sees what Rotary is doing for them? The power that Rotary has, it's just an amazing opportunity. And then on Sunday, a district-centric morning where we have this Rotary speech contest happening live right on Zoom. The District Rotary Essay Contest winner will perform their essay right after the speech contest. And then Rotary International scholars will show us and talk to us about what they're doing and what that scholarship means to them. And then we're going to have our own district breakouts talking about and with people who are doing things within our district, RVI, RMB, all of the different things, the 72 Plus initiative, There are so many things going on in our district. We wanted to have an opportunity for every Rotarian to plug in and talk to the leaders that are making those things happen. And then Alan Mowry has his talk. Sunday's going to be an amazing day as well. Wait, $25 to attend. There may never be the opportunity again that you have now to attend a 3-day district conference from the comfort of your own home and be exposed to so much quality content, networking, fun. It's going to be awesome. And if you sign up before April 1st, you get a free t-shirt. So here's the website, discon2021.com. Here's what it looks like. And there's the registration button on the bottom right-hand corner. That's about the middle of the screen. And I'm showing you this on purpose. Some people have gotten hung up on this. This says guest registration in the middle. You are a guest. You're not a member in this case because this is a different district's website. So register as a guest when you do register for $25. So what can you do? Register right away. We need to know how many people are coming. Encourage the Rotary business people that you know to have a booth, to be a sponsor of this event, to show what they do so that we can all do business with like-minded, like-hearted people. Quick story, my daughter moved to North Carolina. First thing I did, I called down looking for a Rotary Club, found an insurance person within the Rotary Club, and had that person take care of my daughter and her insurance needs in North Carolina. There was no other way that I would want to do that than to find a Rotarian to take care of my daughter. Folks, this is the opportunity to get to know who's doing what in our region. And then service projects, initiatives, and fellowships. This is a great opportunity for us to learn. So ask your people around you, what service projects have we done? Can we plug into this? Can we get a Hall of Friendship table for what we're doing? And then spread the word. Talk to everybody you know about the Tri-District District Conference, and come on out and have some fun. Here's my contact information. If you'd like to learn more, if you have any questions, I would love to talk to you about our Tri-District District Conference. Thank you for your time and have a great day. We'll see you around the wheel.
Fortunate that our district governor, John Anthony, isn't more excited about this conference, right? I do like see you around the wheel. So congrats to John for pivoting and doing what is our district's second virtual event, virtual conference. I'm sure there's a big committee helping him to pull off all this. It sounds like they have just an excellent and robust agenda. Thanks to all of our members who are able to attend and participate in any way and bring back information that you learned to our club. And Tremendous Jones, oh, that's an interesting name. Well, April showers bring May flowers and also give local York. So D. Tremendous Baker is here for an update on Give Local York.
Thanks, Ann. I particularly like put the fun back in fundraising. You know, I'm sure everybody in this room is so excited to talk about fundraising. But, you know, this last weekend I was down in the city. I spent a lot of time downtown, and I was at Kiwanis Lake, and I realized how proud I am to be a Rotarian. Because last year at Give Local York, we took on a big project to clean up Kiwanis Lake. And if you haven't seen the fountains, the egrets are back. You know, we made an impact. This year, our goal is a little bit different. We have the opportunity to help 60 children with nearly 3 months of care while we help their families become financially self-sufficient. So we're going to be helping Alice families, those working families that are working towards getting off of government assistance and on to complete financial assistance. And we're kind of the safety net where we're going to provide some partial scholarships to those families so the kids can stay in that quality childcare. I had a mother send just a thank you to the Rotary Club. Thank you so much. As a single mom who is living paycheck to paycheck with some months in the negative, this grant has allowed me to begin saving for future needs of my children. Not only have you eased our stress, you are helping me to get financially steady to manage our basic needs in the future. So it's not a handout, it's a hand up. Any amount that you can give. $250 would pay for an infant for a whole week of care. $100 would help kids with an after-school program or a child in preschool care. There's two ways that we can impact these kids' lives. So you can let Lynn know that you want to be billed for your Give Local gift, or you can take part on May 7th, Friday, May 7th, and make a gift online to the Give Local York under Rotary Club of York. So I hope that you join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dee. Your middle name may not be tremendous, but this is a tremendous opportunity to impact those in our community. The pandemic has certainly worsened economic disparities, and childcare is a big part of stable homes. So thank you for your work, your committees, and all those who will donate to this important cause during Give Local next month. And now we have our business spotlight, which is on the Appel Center for the Performing Arts. The Appel Center brings some of the best touring musicians, Broadway shows, comedians, films, and more to our community. Their two historic theaters, the Strand and the Capitol, attract over 80,000 guests annually. Of course, that's pre-COVID. Blondie, Tony Bennett, Jeff Beck, Graham Nash, and Gladys Knight are a few of the artists that have recently appeared there. At the core, the Appel Center's mission is education, to support the training of future performers and to leverage the performing arts to teach science, math, and life skills. A new education and community engagement initiative will expand school matinee programs, workshops with theater professionals, sensory-friendly performances, student arts festivals, and new resident performance companies. With the arrival of COVID, as you can imagine, theaters, performing arts, and cinemas face early closures and will be some of the last to fully reopen. Ticket sales and attendance at the centers have declined by more than 90%. So imagine that impact of your business. But the Appel Center has stayed vibrant, offering digital films and performances, digital workshops for high school students, and even continuing its tradition of serving some 10,000 students and teachers with virtual Stage the Page program. The events of the last year have further strengthened and probably provided some wisdom to the Appel Center's committee. They have started a new committee, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Their steering committee is leading cultural and policy reviews, and the organization is reaching out to the community for input on programming decisions to ensure they serve our entire community. Programming is slowly starting up again with an exciting menu of films, concert, and comedy programs. Seating is limited, so just like Rotary, get your tickets early and help support the return of the performing arts to our community. Thanks to Todd Fogdahl, who's been a member of our club since August of 2015. And now to introduce our speaker is our illustrious program committee chair and past president and the better half of Jackie, Mike Summers.
There is no way that I am the better half of the Jackie and Mike show. No way. Okay, so first of all, it is wonderful to be back. My goodness. I just see so many incredible faces that I enjoy seeing every Wednesday, and it is a joy to be here. I can tell you that for sure. I'll also take just a moment to say that the program committee will be meeting sometime probably in May to do the first half or the last half of this year, but the first half of Jackie's year as far as programs. So we would encourage any suggestions that come in. We always meet and then everybody gives me great suggestions the week after, and we do a 6-month block. So if you want to have a good program, you have a good idea, please get that into me or send it over to Lynn and we'll get it on the list for the committee to consider. So now on to today's program. Earth Day is coming next week. Ann mentioned it, it's next Thursday, and our program is timely on many, many different fronts. From the major shift of how Pennsylvania government will draw power consumption to the historic transformation of energy production by traditional oil firms to the emergence of renewable energy to help with a global goal of cutting carbon emissions to zero by 2050. A few weeks ago, Governor Wolf's administration announced that Pennsylvania is making the largest solar power commitment of any state government in the country under an initiative to produce at least half of the state government's needs as far as electricity. That plan's called Pulse, and you'll be hearing much, much more about it over the coming months for sure. And the state will do this through 7 new utility scale solar arrays to be built around the state, one of which is supposed to be located right here in York County. BP, the oil giant that used to be called British Petroleum, its CEO announced at the Houston Energy Conference in March last month that the world is running out of time to cut carbon emissions, but that his company, BP, has recognized an enormous business opportunity in upgrading the global energy system. BP plans to cut its fossil fuel production by 40% by 2030 in 9 short years, with a shift in spending and development going towards renewables. BP will accomplish this goal partly through Lightsource BP, which is one of the largest solar developers in the world, and is a 50-50 partnership to aid in BP's transformation from an international oil company to an integrated energy company. Lightsource BP is a global leader in developing, financing, and managing all utility-scale solar energy projects. Our speaker is Jessie Audette Muniz, Senior Director of Project Development at Lightsource BP, who is contracted to create the solar arrays here in Pennsylvania. Jessie will share details about Lightsource BP's approach to responsible solar energy development and the company's solar projects in Pennsylvania. Jessie will also discuss the latest innovations in solar energy development, discuss Pennsylvania's new approach, and touch on the array that is proposed to be built here in York County. She'll discuss the social, economic, and environmental benefits of solar and how Lightsource BP incorporates agriculture and sustainability into the company's solar projects. Jessie has had more than 20 years experience in renewable energy industry and has held senior positions in numerous successful renewable energy companies. Jessie has actively led the successful development of contracted constructed energy projects that total more than 3,000 megawatts, including developing projects located in 5 states of the US, along with Canada and Brazil. Currently, as mentioned, Jessie holds the position of Senior Director of Project Development at Lightsource BP. Fellow Rotarians and my virtual fellow Rotarians, please warmly welcome Jessie Muniz.
Thank you, Mike, for that kind introduction. And thank you, Rotarians, for this opportunity to be here. And it's very exciting to be here in person and to see so many of you here in person. And I hope that, as was mentioned previously, this is a sign that the spring is coming, a spring for our country as well, a return to our energy and vitality. So thank you again for this opportunity. My name is Jessie Audette Muniz. I'm Senior Director of Development for Lightsource BP. I want to mention before all else that I'll be joined today by Mary Grickus, who is our Head of Communications globally. She'll join towards the end of this talk. We also are being joined by Andrew Miller, who is a York County attorney of MPL Law Firm. He is helping us with the projects we have across Pennsylvania. And Dan Bowl, who's here in the audience, who also is part of our team developing the projects that I'll discuss today. So once again, as Mike Summers very aptly said, on March 22nd, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania announced the Pennsylvania Pulse program to purchase 191 megawatts, or approximately 50% of Pennsylvania government agencies' energy consumption from renewable solar energy. And these are from projects, approximately 7 projects that will be located in 6 counties. Those are Montour, York, Columbia, Juniata, Snyder, and Northumberland counties. just getting started. So thank you again. This is our Earth Day observance. And once again, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. Lightsource BP is a 50-50% partnership between a UK-based solar energy company called Lightsource and BP. This partnership started in 2017 and became fully 50-50% in 2019, and brings us to activities in 14 countries around the globe. It brings us to over 500 employees around the globe developing solar projects. We are an owner and operator and bring BP's solidity and experience to the development, construction, and operation of our projects. In the United States, our head office is in San Francisco. We also have offices in Philadelphia and Colorado. And we have roughly 8 gigawatts under development. We have 616 megawatts that we constructed in 2020. So if you compare it to what was just announced, 191, it's about a third of that going to Pennsylvania in the next year. So the other thing that I should mention, and I'll discuss in this presentation, is that of that 16 megawatts, a big piece was Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is moving ahead very, very nicely. This is our project at Penn State University. This is a 70 megawatt combination of 3 projects that required about 250 workers to construct. It was the first large-scale solar project located in Pennsylvania, and it's viewed as basically an open-air laboratory for Penn State. The students there have proposed various projects to study these solar projects, and we have Penn State interns who join us every academic season to work as interns at our company. This project provides 25% of the university's statewide energy needs. It helps them abate their CO2 emissions, and it will save them about $14 million over the contract life. So this is, I hope we can bring this up, Ben. Do you think this video will play here? Let's see. Here we go. I might need your help to click there. It is a video. But if it doesn't, it's okay. We can go through it. This is a video that talks about those 3 solar farms. It has a flyover. If you're interested in this further, you can see this video and others on our Lightsource BP website. And so if we can't look at it right now, certainly there are other opportunities to learn about these 3 solar farms through the videos on the website. So we can just keep going if we can't open it now. This is another solar project that we are constructing. We constructed the first of the 2 projects to date for SEPTA, the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. This will provide about 20% of SEPTA's annual electricity demand. And this is also located in Franklin County. So Franklin County has been the seat of these projects to date. This was about a $47 million capital investment for these 2 projects, about 43 megawatts, and creating about 200 local jobs. You can see that there is a theme here, which is major institutions partnering with Lightsource BP, which is also effectively known as a major institution, to reduce their emissions and also lower their power bills for the decades to come. And in the case of Penn State, to also use this as a learning opportunity for students. So this is what we call responsible solar farming. And by way of introduction of this topic, I want to say that many people, when they think about solar, they think about the solar projects stretched across the deserts of California and Nevada, which typically have no vegetation. And for a long time, it was considered that vegetation would be a fire hazard to solar projects, and so the vegetation was cleared. as solar projects have moved from west to east over about the last decade or so, there's been quite a large adaptation to the eastern landscape, which is a rolling green farmed landscape. Also a landscape that has much more population generally than the western landscapes do. So there's been a significant adaptation of solar to cohabit the landscape and to do so responsibly. And Lightsource BP has been a leader in thinking about that adaptation and devising very interesting ways to do it. So I'll talk about that. At our solar farms, we practice what we call agrovoltaics. So where we can, we do sheep grazing. We have sheep grazing underway at our Penn State projects that I was just showing. We expect that we will have continued sheep grazing at our future projects in Pennsylvania, the ones that have just been announced by the governor's office. And the sheep grazing is very beneficial for a few reasons. One is that as the sheep trod on the ground, as they eat, as they go through their whole natural process, they rejuvenate the soil underneath the solar panels. They're a very healthy addition to the solar farm. They also can walk under the panels, and unlike goats, they don't chew on the wires. So sheep grazing is one of our approaches. We also plant pollinators around in various locations around the solar farms. We generally will use a combination of sheep grazing, pollinators. At our solar farms in the UK, we produce honey, various ways to increase biodiversity and make the farm continue to be as productive as a farm as possible, together with the addition of the solar panels. This is an evolving field. There's very interesting research being done at many US universities on this. And I personally think this is very interesting because generally speaking, you wouldn't have seen this with conventional power plants. This is really solar's way of saying, we will do our best to integrate into the landscape and to continue to allow the landscape to be useful in many ways, both farming and solar production. We also support local communities. This is one reason, again, that I'm very honored to be here at the Rotary Club today. We would like to support the local community here in York, where several of our new projects will be located. And we believe that the Rotary Club can be an excellent partner in thinking about supporting the local community here. Typically, our ways of supporting local communities will be obviously reducing the cost of energy in general, creating jobs. Typically, during the construction of the project, we will put in our construction contracts that the jobs must be sourced locally to the greatest extent possible. We will typically have our construction contractors source within an hour's drive of the project, and again, attract as many local jobs as possible. In Colorado, we've provided job training to workers who are emerging from incarceration there. We typically will look for people who can really benefit from the job training associated with solar panel installation, which they can then replicate at other solar projects after installing these initial projects. The solar projects do provide property tax revenue to the communities where they're located, which benefit local schools, fire departments, and so on. Generally, we will have the fire department participate in the design of the solar plant so that they are completely familiar with it. And again, the tax revenue will benefit them. The other aspect of that is that solar projects don't need water, they don't need gas pipelines, they don't need the input from the community that other types of uses of that land would typically need. So they are a net tax contributor. They also provide revenue for the landowners. These projects are under long-term leases, typically up to 30 years. And in the communities where we're active, we provide educational opportunities, and we make philanthropic commitments. So this week, traveling across Pennsylvania, we visited several playgrounds. We've talked to other Rotary clubs. We have really been thinking this week very actively about how we can support the communities that neighbor our solar projects here. Our approach, this is basically, whoops, what happened here? Thank you. This is a sample layout of a solar farm, and what I'd like to point to specifically is you can see those green edges around the various blocks of solar panels and around the edge of the solar field. That is screening. So typically, to the extent that we have neighbors that are going to be looking out at what was previously a field and now has solar panels in it, we will be providing screening so that they'll be looking at trees. And we typically work with the planters in the communities we're in to determine the species of trees and planting and so on. Again, we'll be reseeding the fields. It will a field that typically a field that we build on will be returning to meadow status. So it will be seeded as a meadow. It will also be seeded in such a way that the sheep can graze on it. This is a little bit about the principal project components. So the photovoltaic panels that we use, they convert the sun into solar energy, and the panels that we use are what we call bifacial panels. These are panels that have come into use in about the last 2-3 years. They're panels that harvest sunlight, both coming directly from the sun and bouncing upwards from the earth. Consequently, they generate from both sides, and you can roughly see that in this photo. They are on a tracking system that follows the path of the sun east to west. These tracking systems are, because of that, they are oriented north to south. So if you look at solar arrays, you'll see that the rows run north to south and they tilt east to west. You can impress your neighbors if you're talking about this subject. Finally, these solar panels produce DC current, and so they're inverters, which are big white boxes, in the middle of the solar field, transforming the energy into alternating current, AC. And we have perimeter fencing to keep the sheep in, keep the deer out. Access roads, typically very minimal. And finally, interconnection infrastructure. Some people have asked us, will we be building new transmission lines to connect our projects? I wouldn't say that we never ever do, but for these projects in Pennsylvania, we have managed to connect to existing lines. So there are no new transmission lines associated with the projects that we're currently planning. As I said, many universities across the country, if not across the world, are looking into what they call agrovoltaics. It's a combination of solar and farming. And this is an example of a National Renewable Energy Laboratory study looking at farms in Maryland and Arizona and what happened when they grew crops underneath the panels. And so they looked at cherry tomatoes, they looked at peppers, and what they found was that because of the presence of the solar panels, which effectively acted as shading, there was a water savings, there was less need for irrigation. The food production was better because, generally speaking, after a certain point, when it's too hot for crops, certain crops like shade better, and improved renewable energy production as well, because the PV panels, believe it or not, actually also don't like heat. They like to be cooled down by the ground. So this is one reason, if some of you are interested in a key subject of interest of mine, which is floating solar panels. Those panels are cooled down by the water that they're on. Solar panels operate best when they're actually not at high temperatures. Typically, we will choose pre-graded agricultural land, which will mean that we don't have to extensively grade the sites to construct these projects. We either remove and then put the topsoil back in place, or leave the topsoil in place. The natural contours of the land are largely worked into the design, and as I mentioned, we use landscaping and active drainage measures to manage the stormwater. These supports for the solar panels, what we call piles, are driven in by the same equipment that you would see using that you'd see being used for example, I guess you'd call it fencing on the side of highways. So that pile driving in those support piles, they have no foundations. There are no cement foundations there. And so when at the end of 30 years, you want to pull this whole thing out, you just pull them out of the ground. There's nothing along with the wires that are under the ground, but there's basically nothing more to it than that. As I said, these projects are transferred to a field condition with the seeding. You can see that there. And you can see some of the sheep at our projects here. Finally, generally, we will see this in ordinances. We often see this and firm this in our contracts with landowners. The land will be restored completely at the end of the project life. The engineering is done by licensed engineers. Typically, there will be civil, structural, and electrical designs. There will be perimeter fencing, as I mentioned. We have largely moved to what we call cattle type fencing, which you can see there with the wood posts and wide spacing. This is because there has been some sensitivity to using the traditional chain link fence, which most people don't find to be very attractive. So that's what we're using now is cattle type fencing. Minimal traffic once the project is built. And minimal impacts once the project starts operation. So visually, the panels are designed to absorb sunlight and not produce glare. We will typically, you'll typically find they're less reflective, for example, than glass buildings or bodies of water. And this is how we clean the panels, not necessarily very often here in Pennsylvania because it rains. But when we need to clean the panels, we'll use a truck like this equipped with a robot to clean the panels. Again, lots of detail for when you're talking to your neighbor over the fence. And you want to show them that you're an expert in solar energy. So thank you very much. I'd be happy to take any questions. I also would like to see if Mary Grickus has managed to join us. Okay, because she is our global head of, thank you, she is our global head of communications. And to the extent that I don't know the answer to a question, she can certainly help in supporting on those questions.
Hi, everyone. It's Mary. I'm here today. Thank you for letting me join. I hope everyone can hear me. Jessie is very kind. I'm not an expert, but I will do my best to answer any questions you have. And I do have some areas where I have become quite passionate about solar energy and some of the things we do in our responsible solar energy approach, whether it's thinking really hard about what we're planting for screening for the project, or what kind of fencing we're using. We really look at all those details because those things matter. They matter to the community and they matter to us as well. So, so thank you, Jessie, for letting me join you. And I wish I was there in person. I bet you're having a really good lunch. And anyway, next time, hopefully I'll be able to do that.
Thank you, Mary. I very much appreciate your joining, and I'm glad we can see you on the screen as well.
Oh, okay, great. Hi.
So I'm happy to take questions. Let's see. Yes.
Oh, I was going to say there is one that I would love to field because it's one of my areas of passion. It's in the chat from Scott Thomasy. Hi, Scott. This is a really great question. Scott's question is, how long does a solar panel last? and what happens to it when its useful life is over. So I've done a lot of work with the team on solar panel recycling. I actually started my career in electrical engineering, and then I moved over to marketing. It's a very long story, but so I like to dig into those types of details. Lightsource BP is a board member of an organization called the Solar Energy Industry Association. I'm going to put a link in the chat for those of you who are able to get to it. But one of the things that we do as a member of SEIA, or as we call it, SEIA, is participate in a working group that looks at the useful life of solar panels and what happens to them when that useful life is over. Typically, a solar panel, I mean, they're built to last. They have multiple layers, and each kind of end is tempered glass that's laminated together. And it's kind of like a car windshield or hurricane glass. So it's really very, very durable. So they last 35 years or more. And we do have examples in the field of solar panels that have lived a very long life. But when the solar panel's useful life is over, or let's say a solar panel gets damaged during construction, stops working during operation, one of the things that I'm really proud about is, as part of our responsible solar approach, is that we have committed to recycling all our solar panels, period. We do not put our solar panels in landfills. We are committed to two things. One, to recycling all our solar panels, even though it's, they theoretically could be put in a landfill, and that's kind of the cheaper way to do it. We have committed to recycling all of them. And not only do we recycle them using a SEIA approved US recycling vendor, so that we know that there is a very responsible recycler in the US who is going to take the materials and find a second life for them. So we're really proud of that. In the link, I put a flyer that SEIA has created, and it shows where the recycling centers are around the US. And I think it's really pretty cool because it gets you thinking as well that solar really is an industry that's, kind of emerging, and there are going to be all kinds of side industries and jobs associated with solar. So, so the Solar Energy Industry Association is a great organization. Lots of information on their website, and we're committed to recycling using one of their facilities. So, any questions about that?
Thanks, Mary. We have a question from the audience for Jessie. We had.
Let's see, I'll start here and then we can move backwards, okay? And thank you, Mary.
Intrigued when you mentioned the SEPTA project, but it's based in Franklin County. Can you speak to the issue of maximum distance, if that's the right way to put it, in terms of where a facility is located, and whether there's any limit on how far that energy can then be delivered?
Thank you. It's a good question. So yes, I'll repeat the question. The question was, given that the SEPTA project is in Franklin County and the consumer of the energy is in Philadelphia, is there a limit on how far away the project can be from the consumer? And the answer is that the energy nowadays is sold in a broader market called PJM. And PJM reunites approximately, Mary, you may know this, but I think it's about, or Dan, you may know this, it's about 17 states. It's quite a large footprint, and companies can buy or sell, utility companies or other companies can buy or sell energy within that PJM area, and it will flow across borders these are just electrons flowing across borders to the consumers. Sure. Let's move back to, I think, who was the next person. There we go. And I see people in the back, so we'll move our way.
The land on which the solar arrays was it government land to begin with? Was it private land? Who owns it once the solar panels?
Excellent question. So the question was, the land that the solar projects will be located on, is it government land or was it government land? And who owns the land and what will happen after the project, after the panels are installed? So the answer is it's private land. It is farmland. The projects are installed under long-term lease agreements that allow the farmer to continue farming. So there's a dual use aspect. They are generally, as I say, about 30-year leases. Once the lease expires, the equipment needs to be removed unless the lease is renewed. And generally speaking, these agreements, again, the farmer retains ownership of the land. Typically, the farmers may be using their other fields for continued agriculture, or they may have children who just aren't interested in continuing to farm and would like to keep the land in the family, but not be farming it and have the income from solar. So let's see this all the way in the back, and then we'll go over to the right here. Yes, you can, in terms of the physical arrangement of the projects in space, there is the possibility of adding storage. Currently, the projects that we have are not being proposed with storage at this point. They're being constructed purely as solar projects, but storage is being widely adopted throughout the solar industry, and certainly in the next few years or in 10 years, you would see storage and possibly being added to these projects, obviously through a specific permitting process. Let's see, I believe this gentleman here had his hand raised, and then we'll go back up this way. Let me make sure I understood. Would you like to? Okay. So the question was, has legislation been passed to allow landowners to install large units? I think that you meant solar projects, correct? The answer is no. The legislation is it's not at the state level. It is at the county level and quite often at the township level. So townships have passed legislation to guide this process. Counties have passed legislation to guide this process, and that's generally how it's done in Pennsylvania. Okay, let me, I believe actually there was this gentleman here, and then we can move back to the right. And that'll be okay. Well, you have the last question, yes. So it's a very good question. And the question was, when we talk about, the number is actually 191 megawatts AC. This is the peak rating of these solar panels. And this is the maximum amount of power that they are capable of putting out for 1 hour. And the question was, is that 50%, is that 191 megawatts, 50% of the state's consumption on a, for example, a peak basis, or is it how does it represent 50% on a consumption basis? And so the answer to the question is, we're providing 50% of the state's consumption on an energy basis or a megawatt hour basis, meaning that you can call it a 28% capacity factor, the capacity that produces energy due to how much sunlight there is, how many sunny days there are. That energy is enough to supply 50% of the Commonwealth's energy consumption. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessie. Go ahead. Thank you, Jessie, and also Mary for joining us, as indicated by the breadth of questions. Very interesting topic. So appreciate the great work that you're doing, and welcome to our community. In honor of your visit with our club today, we have a book that we will donate to the YMCA York. It's called The Little Engine That Could, and we have a book plate over there. We'll ask you to sign that. Next week, our club meeting will feature a program by Aaron Anderson, who will discuss a new for-profit enterprise, Logos Works. And just a reminder, the registration link for those of you that want to attend in person will be in the announcer and online, so register early. Our closing song for today is by the chairman of the board, or Old Blue Eyes. Anyone know who that is? Yes. He'll sing Riding High in April in this version of That's Life. Hope you enjoy and have a great week.